Hey y'all, good afternoon, good evening. Thank y'all so much for joining me again for another episode of Best of the Asia. When y'all get in here, go ahead and like the video. If you're watching from Facebook, go ahead and like the page and hit the notification. If you're watching from YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like the video, and also hit the notification bell so you'll always get my notifications whenever I go live. Thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. We got a really good topic that we're going to get into tonight. I know a lot of y'all probably was just taken aback a little bit when y'all saw the title. So tonight's topic is going to be about accepting your spouse or your partner for who they are. Um, Hold on one second. I'm getting some type of feedback. Hold on one second, y'all. Where this coming from? Okay, I had it playing on my other computer. Anyway, so tonight's conversation is going to be about accepting your partner for who they are. And we live in a society today where we always talk about, accept me for who I am and to each his own. We have that type of mentality when we're dealing with people, and we don't always think to improve ourselves and look at some of our flaws and some things that we could do differently to give our partner the best version of ourselves. So that's what we're going to get into tonight. If you're watching this, there's a link in the comments. If you want to hop on the live feed and give your thoughts and opinions, you can definitely do that. Make sure that you are showing your camera because I don't want any bots on here. Niz said, "You're so beautiful." Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, so we're living in a society where everyone is into this whole thing is just accept me how I am, to each his own. And I really do think that a lot of times when people get comfortable in relationships, they give the person who they're with like their least effort. If you notice, a lot of times when people get into a relationship and they get comfortable, they stop, doing things to themselves, keeping themselves up. A lot of times they gain weight. You have sometimes where people will become lazy and unmotivated to do certain things, and they expect for their partner to just stay there. I do think that anytime that you are in a relationship, that you still should always be looking forward to different goals, better ways in order to improve yourself. I mean, you should always want to try your best to be the version of the person that you were when that person first met you and made them and y'all fell in love with each other. I feel like you definitely should keep that up. And a lot of people, they feel like that is not important, and it really is. Um, in the title, I said, stop accepting your spouse for who they are. And the reason for that, I think that a lot of times people don't want to give their spouse or their partner, whether you're married or not. I'm saying spouse, because that's just easier to have this conversation. A lot of times people do not want to give their spouse constructive criticism, and a lot of times their spouse can accept constructive criticism from them. They could see that this person is changing and going down the wrong road, and instead of them telling that person, "Hey, this is what you're doing, you probably can't see it, but this is what I'm seeing, and I think that you need to get it together." Instead of that person feeling comfortable with coming to them and telling them, they might step outside the relationship. And one thing that I've noticed, that a lot of people get upset with the person who steps outside of the relationship. And my thing is this: I don't think there is anything wrong with telling your partner that you're having an issue in the direction, if they're in the direction they're going. Say, for instance, if you're into someone who is smaller. So if you're into someone who is smaller and you meet someone and they're the size that you like, they're your type, right? And you meet this person and you decide, based on what is presented to you right here and right now, you decide, this is what I want. I love this person. This is who I want to be with. for the rest of my life or whatever the case may be. Now, in your marriage vows, you do have for better or for worse. But a lot of times people always try and give you their worst and try and make you accept it. So say, for instance, you meet this person, they decide that you like, and then you see that they start picking up a whole lot of weight just from just sheer laziness. Not that they've had any, they've just had a baby. Not that, they experiencing any sickness. And when I'm talking about picking up weight, I'm talking about men and women. Not that they've experienced some type of health issue or whatever the case may be. Just pretty much they feel like, you know what, I was fine when I was out there dating. I got who I want. My person loves me. They're supposed to love me until the end of time or whatever the case may be. And so I could just chill. A lot of times with women, we decide, hey, I could just lay around the house, have my bonnet on my head, looking any kind of way, walking around the house in the same t-shirt that I fried chicken in, flour all over me or whatever the case may be, and want to sit up under him looking very unappealing, and also wanting him to stay at home. And a lot of times the man isn't going to feel comfortable with saying anything, or sometimes if they say something, all of these excuses are made as to why a certain thing isn't done. Whereas in the dating phase, we do all those things regardless. We make that time in order for us to look presentable, in order for us to snag the man in the first place. But then once we get a man, it's like, oh, okay, I can chill. I don't have to do nothing else. And you know what? I actually think that it's okay too for your partner to come to you and tell you, hey, I need you to change this. I need you to change this because I'm not as attracted anymore as I used to be. And it's okay, because when you're in a relationship, you fall in and out of love. Sometimes you're attracted to that person. Sometimes you're not attracted to that person. Depending on how long you guys been together, you're going to grow through different stages and different phases in your life. You might, get good jobs, lose a good job, have money, not have money, gain weight, lose weight, things like that. And it's okay for your partner to work with you through that if you're willing to try, if you're willing to put in the effort in order to improve yourself so that you could be the best version of yourself for the person who you're with. If you're willing to do that, I think it's absolutely okay for your spouse, your partner, what have you, to stay with you. But if it's a case where this person is telling you that they take an issue with something and they need you to change something that is not changing your character, that is something that they want you to go back to when y'all first started or whatever the case may be, if this person is asking you to make those changes, then if you decide that, hey, you just gonna have to accept me for who I am, you know what I'm saying, with your snapping your fingers and rolling your neck, you just gonna have to accept me for who I am or whatever the case may be. If you come in with that type of energy, that person has every right to walk up out of that situation. Nobody has to stay around while you just give up on yourself. Why would you feel like it's okay for a person to stick it out with you and have hope in you when you don't have no hope in yourself? You don't see the light for yourself. So if you've given up on yourself, what makes you think that another person is going to stick it out with you? Gregory said, facts. Thank you for joining me tonight, Gregory. Make sure you have liked and shared this video. You always do, though. But thank you so much for joining me tonight. But yeah, how can you expect for that person to just stay there? I'm all for self-improvement and doing things that is necessary in order to make your relationship work. And a lot of times when people are in a relationship, they focus on what the other person needs to do. A lot of times they always talking about, this person needs to do this, that, and the third in order for me to be happy, in order for me to feel fulfilled in a relationship, when they don't ever think about the things that they need to do, the things they need to work on and improve in order to make the relationship blossom. So the thing is, each party has some work to do, and it's okay if the other partner comes to that person and say, hey, you need to fix this. It's absolutely okay. Um, I know a lot of people, they get married and they take the vows, and it's for better or for worse. Better or for worse don't mean just go around accepting BS. That's not what that means. That doesn't mean that you don't try to give this person the best version of yourself that you possibly can. You should be striving to be the best version of yourself that you possibly can be, just for you. So for better or for worse doesn't mean you just hand somebody off the worst thing and you don't show any effort and you're unmotivated in a relationship. That means that, hey, you know what? If something were to happen outside of your control, I'm going to be there. If it's something outside of control, I'm going to be there. If it's something within your control, I'm going to be there. But there's a but to that. I'm going to be there. And I'm also going to be by your side. I'm going to help you do what it needs to be done, but you have to be motivated to do it. You have to want to do it. You can't be giving me all this pushback or whatever the case may be whenever I say something needs to be done in order for me to feel what I felt in the beginning. Now, the love is going to mature. The love is going to change. It's not always going to be that same feeling. Like I said, when you're in a relationship, you fall in and out of love. You guys are absolutely okay if just as long as both of y'all don't fall out of love at the same time. If both of y'all fall out of love at the same time, then that's when we got a problem, Houston. But people fall in and out of love in a relationship. If they've been in a relationship long enough, they fall in and out of love. So this ain't to say that you have to recapture that new car scent, that butterfly feeling, or whatever the case may be. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like you're trying to recapture and relive that moment or whatever. But sometimes you do have to go back to the basics and remember what it was that made this person want me, what it was that made me want that person. Those things have to be considered. See, a lot of people get into these relationships and it's no longer working how they want it to work, and they be trying to reignite the flames, and they start doing dumb shit like they'll run off and have a threesome or whatever. Or they'll say, hey, let's open up the relationship. They feel like it's always a thing where they got to invite a third party into their relationship, like that kind of outside force is going to help men whatever is going on in their relationship, when at the same time they need to just be able to sit down, take a good look at themselves, and be able to assess themselves and do the work and just start growing as an individual in order to be able to maintain the relationship that they're in. And a lot of people, they're just not willing to do that, unfortunately. A relationship is a ship. What a ship does, it's a transportation device. It takes you somewhere. The relationship should take you somewhere. It should add to you. It shouldn't be taking anything away from you. It should be taking you to new heights. It should be helping you to, explore different levels of yourself. It should be able to help you attain different goals and do certain things that you may not been able to do without having a counterpart. That's what it's designed for. It's not designed for you to just sit in that space and get comfortable, become stagnant, and then tell a person what they got to deal with. And if you don't, the next one will type thing, or whatever the case may be. You can't pull that number on people when you're in a relationship. You should want somebody to get the best version of you. You should. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm going to have this conversation, and I might as well, I'm going to drop a little bit of it now, but I'm going to have this conversation one day on, just speaking to the ladies about whether or not we are prepared to be a wife. Are we preparing to be a wife? There's things, a lot of times we feel like as women, because we, house the vagina, I guess. I don't know why. But a lot of times we feel like as women, because we are the woman, we feel like, we're the prize or whatever the case may be. And Only thing we need to do is just be a good person, and we deserve a good man, we deserve a husband, and that type of thing. And we're not actually doing any work in order to prepare ourselves for a husband, or doing the things that's necessary in order to attract a husband. We have lost the art of seduction, and we try to manipulate nature and rewrite things, and try and make it fit our life. That's just like, for instance, I'm a big woman, right? And I know the undertones of society. Like, okay, in this particular case, I'm an exception, right? I can find a man who's gonna love me and love all of me, or whatever the case may be, as the woman that I am, and accept me just the way I am, right? Every man likes a woman that's, I say, Beyonce size, right? Every man think Beyonce fine, right? Every man don't think I'm fine. So it's like a 50%, 100% thinks Beyonce fine, 50% think I'm fine. So my options are limited, and a lot of people, they be like, oh, you gotta accept this and you gotta accept that. The Lizzo type of situation where people, like, try to force themselves in your face and try and make it, just because they feel like they're a good person, change up the people's preferences, and tell them what they should and shouldn't like, and act like society ain't set up a certain type of way. How it's been going, it's just been set up the type of way. We know what the beauty standards are. So it's like, ain't no sense of sitting up here faking it, just because, like, you might not be what it is in this particular area. Now you want people to start conforming around you because you don't fit the mold or whatever. What you have to do is do what's necessary for you to get in line, for you to be competitive. And that's being self-aware. That's being aware of yourself and the world around you as well. I'm aware of that. So I'm knowing, hey, if I want this certain type of man, or if I want more options, then there's things that I'm going to have to do. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't feel fair. I wish I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could just be like, you know what, I'm cool, I'm this and I'm that, I'm all the above, or whatever the case may be. But I don't meet the traditional aesthetic, you know what I'm saying, or the traditional quote unquote standard of beauty. And it's absolutely okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And that doesn't mean there's not any exceptions to this. But I don't want to just always work within that exception and make things harder for me than what it's supposed to be. That's the same thing with, like, men or and women, whatever the situation is. I just use that as an example because that's something that I can closely relate to. So I just use that as an example for y'all to understand what it is that I'm saying. So you have to just be mindful of that, and don't be mad about it. Don't take it out on people. Don't be trying to make it seem like it's society's fault because it's just set up it's just certain things that interest people. It's certain things that people want. It's certain things that people want out of a partner. And that's the reason why I want to really have that conversation. But I want to have that conversation with a panel of men and women. I do want it to be co-ed, to talk about, preparing to actually be a wife. You have so many people that talk about, oh, don't perform wifely duties, and he hasn't made you a wife. Well, how can what would you consider that to be, and how can somebody see if you fit the description if you're not showing any of the characteristics? You get what I'm saying? Like, how do you expect for somebody to be able to identify you amongst the rest, to be able to say that's the one, or she has what it takes, or she has what I need? How is he able to point that out when you're operating just like everybody else? So you have to be doing something outside of the flock in order for you to stand out, to be chosen, or whatever. And that's just what it is. And there's nothing wrong with doing the necessary things in order to make things work for you and make life a whole lot easier for you. There is no reason why you should go out your way or be so adamant about staying in a particular place and you see it's not working, you're fighting against the wind when you're doing that. You're fighting against the wind. If you sitting up and you constantly, you're just gonna be just, you see, this is what the standard is. And this is not going to change you as a, it's actually going to make you better. What is being asked of you is not something that is going to make you worse than what you are right now. This is actually going to make you better than what you are right now. But you want to fight against it for what? It's unnecessary. And you shouldn't even want to do that to yourself. And you have people who will try and tell somebody that they're wrong for not accepting some BS. You want somebody to accept you just how you are, or whatever the case may be. And then on the flip end, if it's somebody who decides that, hey, they want a certain thing for themselves or whatever, you mad at them for that. You have people that legitimately be mad at people for the simple fact that they no longer want to stay in a situation that is not serving them, that they're not happy in, that they're with somebody who's not motivated, who doesn't have any interest on improving themselves at all. They're absolutely okay with where they're at. And you want that person to sit there in misery with you, and you're not willing to make any adjustments. That's not fair to anybody. And I think people need to stop staying in unhappy situations and stop just accepting their spouse for who they are, just because. Just because, okay, you said for better or for worse or whatever, but this person is always giving you their worst. They're not doing anything to live, because that's not the only vow in there. You're not doing anything to live up to these vows, to honor your vows, or whatever the case may be. But you want this person to just stick around and put up with it. I feel like you should stop accepting people for who, just stop accepting people for who they are if they're not willing to make any adjustments. That's just my thing on it. You have some people that'll say, oh, people be leaving their relationship, or they'll leave their spouse, and when they're in the worst position, like Kanye, for an example, right? Kanye West started to develop, he's in this relationship, right? And he starts to develop all of these different mental issues or whatever. That lady ain't signed up for that. Regardless of what you think of this person, regardless of how you feel about the Kardashians, when she signed up to marry, she didn't sign up for all of this. She didn't sign up for this new Kanye, you know what I'm saying, going on rants or whatever the case may be, spreading all their business or whatever, not taking his medicine. So listen, why would you expect for this woman to stay with him when, okay, you got your mental issue, you have medication? I will stay with you as long as you stay on your medication. You stop taking your medication. Now you spreading all my business on the internet. Now I'm ready to leave you. Now people saying I just married you for the wrong reasons and I should stay, and I'm leaving you when you at your worst. That's the prime example of what I'm talking about. You decide that you're not going to do what is necessary in order for you to be the best possible version of yourself for your spouse, but you want your spouse to stay there. You decide, hey, I'm not going to take my meds, but I still want you to stay with me because you married me and you said for better or for worse. No, no, that's not how any of this works. I don't know why anybody thinks that that's okay. Yeah, you can leave. I think that it's okay. Hey, if this man or this woman, they meet somebody and they get into this relationship and they like a certain body type, and this don't have anything to do with their health issues or whatever the case may be, and they like a certain body type. If a man like a small woman, and she decided that she just because she got him now, whatever, she gonna put on all this happy weight, and he's not attracted anymore, he chooses to leave, he has a right to do so. If a man decides that, He want to sit around, drink beer, watch TV all day, digging his ass or whatever the case may be, eat a piece of from Papa John's and all this old kind of stuff or whatever. And he want to get big as a house, and she decide she don't want to be with his big ass no more. She has the right to leave that situation because he's not trying. I could see, sometimes we, I struggle with my weight too. So I understand sometimes it could get ahead of you, and you could look up and you're bigger than what you thought you was. You know what I'm saying? But if you just sit there and your spouse has a problem with it, and you're not willing to do anything, then they have a right to leave you, in my opinion. If y'all came in a relationship and y'all had this makeup and this type of financial makeup or whatever, and y'all used to living this type of life, and then this person decide all of a sudden they don't want to work and all this old kind of stuff, and the person decide to leave, I feel like they have a right to leave you. That's the same thing. It's basically cheating, if you ask me. It's not the same as laying down with somebody or whatever, but it's a breaching contract. It's still a breaching contract because I married you and I wanted you based on this. And I'm willing to work with you if you're willing to work with me, and if you're willing to take the necessary steps in order to improve yourself and improve our situation. Otherwise, we could go ahead and down here to divorce court and get this over with, because you're breaching the contract. That's how I feel. Then Shasha. Hey, Sharif. Shasha say, what up, Deasia? What up, Sharif? How you doing? I need to see you before you go back. That's my boy right there. But yeah. We got to do better. We got to do better, and we have to be more considerate of our spouses, our loved ones, the people who we have decided to dedicate our lives to and spend the proverbial forever with. We have to be a little bit more considerate and quit taking. To me, I really feel as if a person isn't willing to make necessary improvements, and I kind of like hit on some surface thing when it comes to finances and money or whatever, but I feel like if a person is not willing to make the necessary improvements, I feel like they're taking you for granted. I really do. That's just my opinion on it. It's no way that you can really appreciate someone and you're not every day, you're not working towards giving them the best possible version of yourself that you can. I'm not telling you to try and be someone else and do something different, or they pop up and tell you some new stuff that you ain't never heard of. Like, for instance, I'm going to tell you a little piece of my business, right? So here's a little piece of my business. I was in a situation, I was married, and I used to wear my nails a certain type of way, or our certain, lipsticks or whatever the case may be. And it was like, I don't want your nails that length. I don't want you. Now you're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Because that wasn't the thing at first. You know what I'm saying? It was okay. Like, you knew all this whole time that I wore red lipstick or I wore my nails a certain length. Now all of a sudden we get married and you telling me like, no, that's not the goal. We can't do that. No, that's not cool. That's something totally different. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about the things that were taking place when you guys first got together. You sometimes you just have to rekindle those moments. Sometimes you have to remember and you have to get back to the basics. That's all I'm saying. I ain't telling nobody to go out and just let somebody start telling them anything and they start just changing up and switching up to make a person happy or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that. But if it's something that you have presented to this person already and they made a decision to be with you based on the things that you presented to them initially, and those things have changed, and then that person decides that they're no longer interested in this situation, at that moment, I feel like they have a right to leave if you're not willing to make the necessary adjustments. I hope I'm clear on that. I ain't telling nobody to get used and abused and do all this shifting and adjusting for somebody who is just trying to be controlling and possessive of them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying be willing to work with your partner and accept the fact that sometimes the things that need to be done in a relationship in order to make it work starts with you doing some self evaluation and some self improvement. And it's not always the other person that needs to be doing something. It could be just you alone need to be making some changes. Both of y'all might need to be making some changes. But if changes need to be made and you're not willing to make the changes and it's not changing you as a person, then that person has a right to exit up out of that situation because it no longer serves them. And nobody has to stay in a situation that no longer serves them. That's all I have on this topic tonight. I really thank y'all so much for joining me. Um, y'all make sure y'all join me every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Death of the Asia. And make sure that you have liked the Facebook page and turn on the notifications. That way you won't miss my lives on YouTube. Make sure that you have hit the subscribe button, hit the like, share this shit. And hit the notification bell as well. That way you'll get my notifications anytime I go live. Y'all know it's a lot going on in the media these days. So I do the impromptu shows where I come on and do my Deaths of the Asia You Can't Whoop Me edition or whatever. So make sure y'all have those notifications set because y'all don't want to miss any of that. And so once you leave this video, play it again. And once you play that, go look at some of these other videos because I've been popping them out, baby. Thank y'all so much for the love and support. It's been real. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm about to tune out. Y'all have a good one.
I hope you black men were paying attention. I hope you black men were paying attention.